Hi, how is it going? Welcome to Code with Z. In today's video, we have to find the Fibonacci number for 2. Why? Well, because that's what LeetCode 509 Fibonacci number is asking us to do. As you can see, it says, the Fibonacci number is commonly denoted as f of n, form a sequence called the Fibonacci sequence, such that each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, starting from 0 and 1. So long story short, we gotta calculate the Fibonacci number, but let me explain how it works. So if we have 2, for example, and we want to see what the Fibonacci number for 2 is, we're first given two simple information. The first one is that the Fibonacci number for 0 is 0 and the Fibonacci number for 1 is 1. Now that we have this, we can use them to our advantage. Why? Well, because the Fibonacci function is basically gonna be the Fibonacci number that you want to find is equal to the previous Fibonacci number plus to the one before it. So for example, if we want to find the Fibonacci number for 2, we have to get the Fibonacci number for 2 minus 1 plus the Fibonacci number for 2 minus 2. Well, 2 minus 1 is 1 and 2 minus 2 is 0. So now we need the Fibonacci number of 1 and the Fibonacci number of 0 to find the Fibonacci number for 2. Well, if we look, we actually have those values. The Fibonacci number for 1 is 1 and the Fibonacci number for 0 is 0. So 1 plus 0, that's going to give us 1. So this means the Fibonacci number for 2 is actually 1 and we're going to store it here. Why? Well, because for example, if we wanted to find the Fibonacci number for 3, we're going to have the same thing. We're going to say the Fibonacci number for 3 is equal to the Fibonacci number of 2 and the Fibonacci number of 1, the two preceding Fibonacci numbers. Well, would you look at that? We have the Fibonacci number for 2 and that's going to be 1, and the Fibonacci number for 1, that's going to be also 1 and that's going to give us 2. So the Fibonacci number for 3 is 2 and we're going to store it here. Why? Well, because for example, if in the future we wanted to find the Fibonacci number for 4, we're going to need the Fibonacci number for 2 and 3 so we can actually find out what the Fibonacci number for 4 is. For example, if we want to find the Fibonacci number for 50, we have to find the Fibonacci number for 49 and 48. And that's going to be it. Now let's code this in the simplest way possible. Alrighty, let's code this together. So our approach is going to be dynamic programming, but don't worry, it's going to be really simple and really optimal in terms of time complexity. So we're going to say if n is equal to 0, return 0, right? We literally had it in the slides as well. The Fibonacci number for 0 is 0. And then we're going to say if n is equal to 1, return 1. Why? Well, because the Fibonacci number for 1 is 1, just like we saw in the slides. Now after this, we're going to have a simple array and I'll call it Fibonacci result. And this is going to be an array that's going to have 0 and 1 inside of it. Now don't worry about anything because I'm going to explain all of this one more time. So if something is foggy, don't worry. Then we're going to have a for loop. We're going to say for let I being equal to 2. And we want to keep on looping as long as I is smaller or equal to n and then I plus plus on each round. Here we're going to say, this is going to look really familiar. We're going to say fibres at the index of I is equal to fibres at the index of I minus 1 plus fibres at the index of I minus 2. And at the end, we're going to return fibres at the index of n. Now, what does this mean? Well, these two first lines are pretty simple. We're going to say if n is equal to 0, return 0, and if n is equal to 1, return 1, right? But after that, for example, if we want to find the Fibonacci number for 2 or 3 or 5, we're going to need the two preceding Fibonacci numbers. So to do that, we're going to have this array that's going to have the value of Fibonacci of 0 and Fibonacci of 1. And then, for example, if we want to find the Fibonacci of 2, we're going to get inside of this loop, and this is going to run until 2. This line is going to add a new line, and that's going to be this, and it will say add this value to this value and put it here. So for example, the Fibonacci of 2 is going to be 1. So we're going to put it here. And then if we want to calculate, for example, the Fibonacci of 3, we're going to say, okay, the Fibonacci of 3 is going to be equal to the two preceding ones. So we're going to say add a new element here, and the value should be this plus this, and that's going to be 2. And at the end, no matter how many numbers we have, we're going to return the last element inside of our Fibonacci result array because that's going to be the result. Now let me clean this up and let's run this and see if we can actually get accepted. This is a really optimal approach. There are a lot of other ways. As you can see, we got accepted, but this one in terms of time complexity is really optimal and it only has the time complexity of n. Awesome, we got accepted. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep on coding.